Hey there, this is Buford, and thanks for stopping by for another video. The War Within is in full swing with Season 1's Mythic Plus dungeons, Nerebar Palace raid, and Delves carrying the heavy lifting of endgame content for all kinds of all players. Usually by this time in the expansion, I've leveled several characters and I'm juggling what I want to play. This expansion, however, that is not the case. I've been living on my Death Knight and have not had any desire to level or play anything else because particularly Frost DK is incredibly fun right now. This is my opinion, but I think Blizzard knocked it out of the park with Death Knight in this expansion, especially Frost. Let's talk about some of the reasons why. These are in no particular order and are my opinion or generally regarded by the greater Death Knight community as positive changes. The first thing we have to touch on is hero talents, one of the new additions to the game in the War Within. There's a couple classes and specs that are eating really good with hero talents, and Frost Death Knight is definitely one of them. I mean, thematically, when we saw that Rider of the Apocalypse was coming as a hero talent in the War Within, that was about as clear of a win as you could get. Casting Frostworm's Fury and all four of the horsemen jumping into fight beside you and all providing different buffs is awesome, and mounting a Death Charger when doing outdoor combat or popping Death's Advance is also pretty sweet. I personally immediately bought into Deathbringer when that was announced. It took me back to my favorite time in World of Warcraft, raiding an Icecrown Citadel, and it reminded me of fighting Deathbringer Saurfang as you work your way up the tower for the eventual showdown with the Lich King, which at its core is what I think Blizzard was hoping for when it announced hero talents, to give you a little bit more immersion in your character and class fantasy while adding only minimal rotational changes to your class. I'm really happy with the fact that Deathbringer is so strong and is a go-to hero talent system in many scenarios, but also really pleased with Rider of the Apocalypse also having its uses in delves and outdoor content. Big wins for Blizzard and Death Knight here. One of the nicest things about the Frost Death Knight hero talent trees is that it really doesn't change the way you play your class and spec, aside from giving you a priority button to push in Reaper's Mark for Deathbringer and Frostworm's Fury for the Rider tree, which you were already prioritizing anyways. They give you just a couple choice nodes to pick from, but lean heavy into theme of the class either way you go, so Death Knights have got it really good when it comes to hero talents. As far as regular talents go, the changes to the capstone talents on the class tree talent trees were great decisions. They offer some unique utility you can swap around in case you need a little different use on your anti-magic shell, for instance. Not having major DPS increases tied to poor pathing at the top of your trees was a great adjustment. I'm all for class trees providing the utility and quality of life changes, while the specialization trees provide the bulk of your damage and rotational adjustments. As far as the spec tree for Frost, there are a couple major changes that have made all the difference so far this expansion. The capstones in the spec tree have changed completely aside from Breath of Sindragosa. Absolute Zero has been shifted up a couple rows in the tree, while Arctic Assault, the Long Winter, and Shattered Frost are the new capstone choices for the spec tree. You can play a couple different builds, like the Obliteration and Shattering Blade build with Arctic Assault, the Long Winter, and Shattered Frost and Frostworm's Fury that maximizes your time in your Pillar of Frost window and prioritizes target swapping to consume Razor Ice stacks on multiple targets. This build is super fun and a great Mythic Plus build for anyone to try. You can also choose to do dual wield or two-handed weapons right now with minimal pushback, depending on the build you choose. That said, dual wield is primarily the go-to at the moment for most situations, especially when spec'd into Deathbringer. Arguably, the biggest change to the Frost Death Knight is the changes to Breath of Sindragosa. If you've played previous iterations of Breath builds in the past, you're probably really leery to try and give it a shot again, and I can't say I blame you. Playing Breath builds, especially outside of raid scenarios in the past, could be incredibly frustrating, especially when you do next to no damage when you're outside of your Breath window. Good news though, this isn't the Breath of Sindragosa you remember. Breath has been adjusted to do more damage and consume more runic power per tick, which as a result makes it more of a shorter burst cooldown you can only maintain for a limited amount of time. usually resulting in around 30 or 40 seconds of uptime depending on frigid executioner procs. The current go-to breath build also has you taking Obliteration and Arctic Assault in every situation, so even when you're outside of your breath cooldowns, you'll still be able to do great damage by weaving in Pillar of Frost and your other damaging abilities. From personal experience, I was not excited about playing Breath of Cindergosa again because of how it's functioned in the past. However, I think the way Breath currently functions and pairing it with Obliteration makes this the most enjoyable iteration of Frost Death Knight I've played in a long time. It's performing really well in both Raid and Mythic Plus as kind of a one-size-fits-all talent build aside from swapping out some situational talents in the class tree as needed. Frost has been viable, heck even sought after in a lot of content so far in the War Within. Whether you're a Mythic Plus enjoyer, a high-level raider, or exclusively doing solo content, such as Delves, Frost Death Knight is in a great place no matter how you want to play the game. If you've seen the influx of Frost players so far this expansion and are thinking about giving it a try, you absolutely should. I'm still learning and optimizing, but on a personal level, I've been having a great time just playing the game, and I think the state of Frost Death Knight has a lot to do with that. So far this expansion, I've been enjoying all kinds of different content, including doing some delves and starting my journey to Keystone Master and hopefully Keystone Hero this season, but I've also progressed in Heroic Raid during a new content patch for the first time since Wrath of the Lich King. I think when the class you want to play is in a good spot, you'll find playing the game at every level rewarding, and that's very much the case right now for Frost Death Knight. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you're also enjoying Frost Death Knight and would like to see more Frost Death Knight content, such as in-depth talent and rotation guides, let me know in the comments. Until next time, check out some of my other videos on the channel, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.